Welcome to the Zebra Family channel. If you have not subscribed, please click the like button, share and subscribe. It's free. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are around the world. This is Zebra Family channel. Today I want to talk about this audio leak of Zizi Kodwa. This audio leak of Zizi Kodwa, it says a lot of things about Ramaphosa. The question is, was it the right time for him to release this audio? The answer is yes. Was he supposed to release it earlier? It doesn't matter. Why was he quiet all this time, not talking about all these things? It doesn't matter. What matters most? He's been inside working with the government of South Africa, which is led by ANC, and he is part of the ANC. And in the ANC, they have their own laws. I will take a good example. When there was a scandal of Pala in Parliament, they voted together, except for Lindiwe Sisulu and Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. And Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was brave enough. She didn't even go out. She voted in front of the ANC against the president, while everybody was voting supporting the president, which is Cyril Ramaphosa. What is the danger of audio leaks like this coming out? And what is the danger that ANC might face, South Africa as a whole might face? It is hard to have a president who is compromised, because everybody has got something on the president. If you don't do this for me, I will expose you. If you don't do this for me, I will expose you. How many people that have things against Ramaphosa? The dirty games of Ramaphosa that we don't know. A lot of people are holding on them. And now that the ANC has lost the majority, there is a lot. This reminds me of US, Donald Trump. What happened to Donald Trump then when he was impeached? All Republicans supported Donald Trump. They didn't want him to be impeached. And they were enabling him, because now he finds himself bigger than any other person who's living in this world. He is law unto himself. It's exactly what South Africans or ANC are doing with Cyril Ramaphosa. And I bet Ramaphosa will still be in and out of courts because ANC has lost the majority. And it is still going to be hard for Ramaphosa. He will end up in prison. Because there's a lot. Some we know, some we don't know. There's a sealed documents of CR17. It's not open to the public. There's Pala that is still pending. There's a lot that we don't know. So to have a president that is compromised, Julius Malema used to talk about this thing now and again, saying Ramaphosa is black outside, white inside. He's working for some other people somewhere, not for the country. Look at this audio, explain everything, and it says a lot. I don't care what people say. Will say, oh, why you didn't release it early, why you didn't do this, why you didn't do this. How many people? Look at what happened with Zuma. Mbalula started because Zuma opened his own MK party. Now we start to say, oh, we supported Zuma, but we said a swimming pool was a fire pool and all this. There is still a lot. As much as they've supported Cyril Ramaphosa, they are still going to open up and say a lot of things about Ramaphosa once he walk out. It won't take a lot. Ramaphosa has brought ANC down to 40%. 17% gone. But you still say you have a leader who can lead in a country, who can, it reminds me of Floyd Chivambo when he was in Parliament talking about Ramaphosa's first car. Anybody who heard about that knows what Floyd said about he was driving his own reserve gear. So this is what he's doing with the country. Load shedding, potholes everywhere. If you go to Faraday, Johann Hillbro, you go everywhere. But the country, go to locations where black people stay. It's a disaster, no electricity, nothing. But people, they still want to vote for the ANC. That is already dead. No service. You know, a lot of things have been said about Julius Malema, VBS scandal, whatever people were saying, they are corrupt. And why are we not seeing either of the EFF top six going to court about their cases that they have been stealing money from VBS, corruption and everything? What is it? Are they bigger than the country? That's not true. It's just people they try to sabotage because there are things that we don't know that are happening in the country. The country is being controlled somewhere else, not in South Africa. And there are some people who are controlling the country. This video or this audio says it all. Family, I've got nothing much to say about this. Can you listen to the video and make your own analysis? What do you think about
pushing those who spoke about radical economic transformation in the form of the Mahashli or the Zuma? They are out there. Now, you have to be asking yourself now, who is in the current ANC? And I think earlier on I've given you guys a sneak peek. That is the guys who founded Sanbuka, Ramaphosa's. Ramaphosa was Sanbuka Ramaphosa was being led by Puchumahanye. What happens when Ramaphosa ascends into presidency? Puchumahanye moves from Sanbuka, she goes to where Naspers, News 24. Ramaphosa is assured that he will take one of your own into the news engine of this country. Puchumahanye is not a Naspers to get any value. She is planted there because this guy is scared of scrutiny. Now you guys are asking why the media is not talking about Kalakala. No, they're missing the whole point. Number two, we're plans to load shedding. Go and look who is supplying the diesel to ESCOM. Look at what are the interests, what are the PE deals there. Before Mike Teke comes and tell you here that you guys are not ambitious as young people, as a PE beneficiary. Now, what is left of the ANC is interests. Just Google Mr. Jonas now. Google Mr. now and you will see where are they sitting. They are sitting in the boards of MTN, South 32, Platinum, all these companies. These are the interests that are currently driving the ANC. Whose interests are those? Are the markets. Hence the ANC is chatting with the DA because everyone who's left in the people who have voted the MK have spoken in this space because they cannot identify with the character of the ANC or what ANC has become. The people who voted for the EFF or who borrowed, who led their vote for the EFF or the EFF borrowed from their vote. Because of the vacuum within the left, they come back and voted for the MK. Now, who are we to think that the ANC of Ramaphosa will not entertain the DA over Zuma and Malema that the ANC of Ramaphosa is pushed out? Who are we to think that the ANC is having an interest of PMU, who are the downtrodden, disenfranchised, who do not have discussive power, material power, instrumental power? Whether they push the likes of Mahashule, Zuma, Malema out, if they push those people, who remains? That's the questions that we want to ponder from. I mean, I'm willing to put my head on the chopping block and I'll come here in this place and say, comrades, I was wrong. But to close it off, remember this. At the end of history, they say the mankind's ideological evolution and the universalization of Western liberal democracy. Who embraces that? It is the current ANC. Who else? The DA. The policies of redress, DA is not interested, but self-preservation. I mean, the DA has been happy with how things have turned out, more comfortable with the ANC of Ramaphosa. What does that tell you? That still is in the sitting, who's willing to sit down and speak with the ANC. But they are telling you, not of Paul Mashatile, but of Ramaphosa. Who is Ramaphosa? Again, things will not matter. During that transition towards the end of Cold War, when we ushered into this democratic dispensation, is the guy who was shooting with the rule of mayor in them. Think around 2011, 2012, when Marikana happened, is the guy who said, when the strikers committed industrial action, saying we want 13,500. That is nothing. You guys, you know that 13,000 was nothing at the time. But he said the state must commit a competent action towards the workers. That is the Ramaphosa that we think will be left in today. Guys, that's very much. Let me learn.
Maduna, thank you so much. Before you leave, just one question from. So, in your view, with this unpopular coalition that you sort of emphasize that it's high likely that it will happen, do you think Ramaphosa will remain the president, or what's likely going to be the executive setup there if it does go ahead?
Obviously, we are speculating here. We do not have crystal balls, but remember, I just have to say that I know, let's assume that I'm wrong. But what I'm seeing is this, I subscribe to the notion that white people are playing a long game, not because of we are stupid as black people, but those of us who've tasted the crumbs of a bread, subscribe to short-termism too much, and I would do everything to bend and for the validation of white people. One, what will actually happen is that the DA has made it clear that they're comfortable with the ANC of Cyril, so Cyril remains the president. But now what we would have done is to bring them within the state apparatus, the state power, the state levers. Number one, we know exactly what they've started doing. They're pushing out Paul Mashatile. They do not care about the actual president, but they know that what they will push for is the deputy president. Even if it's not done, but we know that the deputy president of the country presides over government business. Now here it gets crazier. When they get that deputy presidency in government business, they preside over parastatals. It's obvious, all of you can now predict where I'm going. We're going to privatization, which, by the way, has already started under Ramaphosa. They took this guy coming from Deloitte, I forgot his name, when they did the plan of unbundling, basically breaking down ESCOM from the distribution, transmission, and the distribution side of it. When they've done this thing, and they're saying unbundling, they know that there was a student of Mark Feeling at the time at the University of Stellenbosch. She was saying, and now he's the chairperson of the transmission company of ESCOM. That question regarding the DA-ANC coalition and why the rest or other possibilities, combinations are deemed, what do they say? There is this term which is along the lines of Black Khafar or Doomsday coalitions, right? And why the DA is actually comfortable to go into coalition with the ANC and the current ANC is actually confident or comfortable to go to have such discussions with the DA. But if you allow me, co-hosts, I'll just give you just a brief context. And I hope I won't be too ideological. Ideology is important, but maybe let me rely on history. So our transition, as you guys know, at some point we had this government of national unity in the early 90s. And I'm sure most of us here were very young. And some of us are getting, we will have to read or listen at least to the elders what was happening at the time. But that history happens, that transition, South African transition, happened in a very interesting time in terms of the world history. So that's in around 1991, 1992. And at that particular point in time is the end of Cold War. And one of the prominent writers, which I do not respect, but is Francis Fukuyama, just fools the world writing this book. It's called The End of History and the Last Man. And you guys, maybe some of you have read it, or have heard about it, or heard about the guy. But what he argues in that book, he's saying that humanity has reached not just the passing of a particular period of post-war history, but the end of history. Such that is the end point of mankind's ideological evolution and the universalization of the Western liberal democracy as the final form of human government. Now underscore the universalization of Western liberal democracy as the final form of human government. Now it will tell you something about the ANC at that particular point in time. As you would know, that when the ANC came into government, it would adopt the Reconstruction and Development Program, the RDP that we talk about it. But at that particular point in time, the ANC emerges as part of a tripartite alliance, right? Now, what is the glue? I think I've mentioned this in some of the space. What is the glue that binds that tripartite alliance, which is the SACP, COSATU, and the ANC? Is the NTR, what you call the National Democratic Revolution. But basically, at the time, these structures, or I would say, the unions, SACP, which I don't know whether it's a political party or it's just an interest group in the ANC, but we believe that the very first thing when you ascend into power, you have to transform the economy, right? And radically so, and then how are we going to do that? Obviously, we will nationalize and we will ensure that we transpose the political power into economic power. There are many vehicles to do this. We have worker ownerships, workers represented on companies' boards, so on and so forth. Let's not go there we can talk about how we transform the economy, but that's not the point now. They adopted the RDP. Now, what happens? That transition, post that transition, where everybody believes that the Western liberal democracy is the final form of human government, the ANC changes from the RDP. I mean, under that ideological posture, if I may put it that way, it adopts gear. It further goes to ASGISA, NTP, and now the NTP, as we've mentioned earlier on, right? Now, here where it gets crazy. The DA also classifies itself, they classify themselves as liberals. Now, you look at all the policies that have been adopted by the ANC, you know, they are not really radical to transform the economy in a way or the other, but rather are targeting inclusion. Now, to the ANC's credit, there are laws such as that have been ascended, such as the BEE, which the DA wants to reverse, and it will reverse it, right? Because the markets don't take BEE seriously now. But also, they've planted into our heads as black people that the BEE is bad. But like the ordinary South African, when you talk about BEE, they think shares, company ownership, the people who are getting returns on shares, who are largely politicians. They forget that some components of the BEE deal with issues of preferential procurement, skills development, supplier development programs. The companies that you guys are working for are having supplier development programs, preferential procurement because of BEE. It has nothing to do with politicians. They're having employment equity. The DA is against that, right? Most of us here are sitting in middle to senior management where we are working. Obviously, if we're executives, we wouldn't be here. But what I'm trying to say is that we get to junior, middle to senior management because of companies are having these employment equity plans that the DA wants to scrap, right? Up until 2019, there was no minimum wage in South Africa. Why? We recognize then that our labor markets are problematic. Then we came up with a minimum wage. I think it's too low, but we can debate about it some other day. But these are measures to protect workers' rights. The DA doesn't want that. Now here is where it gets more crazier. Right. The markets will be pro-DA because why? They are against these things that are protecting your rights as black people. All these things do not benefit white people, but you black people. Now why the ANC? Why the ANC of Tambo, of Lambert, would now go to a table to discuss forming a government with the DA despite the existence of...
Please, let's try to comment respectfully, and let's not forget to like the video, share the video, and then subscribe. Yazi ngithi kuthini? Ngithanda ngothando oluka love. Ngithanda nonke lapho nikhona khona. Kumagumba mani omhlaba. Ngithi kini bravo bravo.